So we're going to go to FPS. So Ankur and other Govardhan Swami tries to spread satsang and goes to the palace slash the court of Dosakasha where the two brothers Pudash and Vanasha they serve him and then he eventually converts Himrat Shah into a satsangi where he actually goes to Govardhan Swami. Govardhan Swami fakes that he has an illness. He goes to him and then he sees that his throat, forehead, feet, eyes, all these different bodily parts his pulse is appearing and disappearing from all these different body parts. So he thinks that he knows that hey, Govardhan Swami is actually part of the Lord Krishna, and so that is how he becomes and declares himself Satsangi. And so because of this, Himraja conversions spreads rapidly throughout the entire community, and there is a great uproar. And so he defends it. He defends his decision. He defends his decision. But even though all of the other people gathered telling him to remove him from the caste, but the leader of the caste refused, recognizing his respected status. When Maharaj came to Sundaryana, he was actually very delighted upon hearing Himraj's conversion to Satsang. And then at Devaliya, Maharaj was welcomed by Jalam Singh and Keshaba. Keshaba actually went to where Manki was actually stored, and to make sure that Maharaj stays and has breakfast first, she and Jal and she and Jalam Singh were able to take Manki and put her in a different room. And so when Maharaj called the mayor, he got no response. He got no response, and then only when did after he ate was Keshabai revealed her location. And Bachya Maharaj says that I no longer want to remain in these spiritual gatherings because of Nityanand Swami Chaitanya Swami. He sent letters to them. He sent letters to them. And he says that I don't want to remain in these spiritual gatherings because there are conflicts among these saints who compete one another without having any mutual respect. At Karji Sanatan, Maharaj actually gives his divine visions in various of these different forms. Celebrates Ankut in Adarj. And he divine power showcases divine powers by appearing in two different forms. One is performing Ati for Thakurji, and the other is addressing the gathering under the banyan trees. And then when Sudanpa says that if he does renounce satsang, then what will happen to the entire devotees of Adarj? And so Maharaj says that he will liberate the entire village of Adarj will be liberated. And so in the assembly, when esteemed devotees came and they explained his desires, his own desire to leave satsang, only then in Nirvikalpan and then Hariyan, then showed proper reverence to Mugan Swami, and they apologized and they declared to not do that again. They asked for forgiveness, etc. And so only then did Maharaj explained the entire process of installing four saints as Sadgurus. And then Maharaj seats Muktanand Swami upon his own throne because he was able to keep the victory of Satsang in place. He was able to keep the name of Satsang in place, and he was able to spread Maharaj's greatness. So he installed four different Sadgurus, Brahmana, Nityananda, Chaitanya, and as four Sadgurus. So that is Adarj in Ankur. Starts off with Gopalan Swami, starts off with Pudasha Shah, conversion of Himraj Shah. Then we go into uproar in Mahindra because Himraj Shah was converted. Then Maharaj comes to Sundaryana, learns about this conversion. He is very enticed by, very excited about it. Then he goes to Devaliya where Chief Jalim Singh and Keshaba tie Manki into a locked room, and only after Maharaj eats breakfast first in the morning does she reveal the location. Then Maharaj says that much that he does not want to remain in satsang. Why? Because of the conflicts between these two saints. Then Maharaj at Karchisana he gives his divine vision, and he stays secretly in Nana Brahmachari's orchard, and he summoned all the saints, and he reiterates his decision to leave satsang. And then when other saints say that hey, let's actually let Muktanand Swami make the final decision, messengers from Adaraj came to escort him to the Ankur festival. So he said, okay, let us celebrate the Ankur festival. And so he showed his divine forms in the Ankur festival itself as other through grand festivities or grand occasion, one performing Arti, two different divine forms. Also said that we will liberate the entire village of Adarj, and also said that discipline is essential in satsang. When you have all of these different saints not showing proper reverence, that is how conflicts actually occur. And then Maharaj finally seats Mukhanand Swami on his own throne, does his own puja, and then finally explains the importance of the four Sadgurus. That is Adarsh and Ankur. Troubles or victory of Muktanand Swami. Satsang of Vadodara spread because due to Govardhan Swami. He spread the importance of satsang, importance of Maharaj throughout the Vadodara region. Divan Babaji Apaji did not like this, and Vikal Rao Babaji did not like this. They were opposed, and so even Tuljabai, she was a devotee of Baba Swaminarayan, and so when she passed away, he knew that this is probably because of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Maybe he caused her to pass away, and so after witnessing his wife's death, Babaji Diwan also passes away, and so which all this leads to the appointment of Vikram Rao Devaji, who inherits this same vengeful hatred against satsang. And so when he employs this Dhundhaba, Southern Brahmin, to kill Gopalan Swami, the attempt backfires because he puts him into samadhi and he lets him experience all these different torments. And only when the daughter actually pleaded for mercy did Swamiji actually revive him. And so then the Divan sent him state power, sent him officers. But each of these different officers were captivated by the divine influence and joined satsang again. And so when King Saijiro Gaikwad learned about these different conversions, he personally went to meet Gopalan Swami, and he himself was convinced about Bhagwan Swami's greatness from Gopalan Swami. And so then this debate arranges who Vedantacharya was also opposed to Swaminarayan. So when he claims that Swaminarayan had actually lost in the debate, then Divan sees this as a perfect opportunity to expose him in front of King Saijiro Gaikwad, and so he agrees. And then instead of actually debating, Maharaj himself should debate Gopalan Swami. So then Prabhudas goes to Maharaj and says that instead of Gopalan Swami, we'll actually send Muktanand Swami. And so then Maharaj appoints Muktanand Swami and then guarantees victory, that victory will arise. Muktanand Swami then arrives in Vadodara. He stays at Manath Bhagat's ashram, and then when Saijiro Gaikwad goes to Muktanand Swami's ashram, where he was saying he knew that victory will be certain. He knew just by his demeanor, just by the presence, just by the atmosphere, that victory will be certain. So Muktanand Swami decided to confront Vedantacharya with facts. And so he said, could he answer BS's questions about the 12 great Vedic statements? And immediately he lost his composure and he was not able to answer, and he was able to essentially admit his defeat. And even before the debate even started, Muktanand Swami was able to defeat Vedantacharya. And so news spread throughout all the villages that Muktanand Swami had preserved the value, preserved the pride of satsang. And so all the other scholars seated there also asked about the different philosophical questions about Swaminarayanism, about dharma, about devotion. And so he answered them very swiftly. Saijiro Gaikwad also honored Muktanand Swami very well because of his victory. News spread, and when news spread to Maharaj, he was immensely pleased. He was immensely pleased because he actually preserved the pride. And even the tired messengers were actually served as well due to this immense occasion. And unable to bear the pace, Nirvikalpanand Swami and Hariyan Swami tells Maharaj that he has done nothing special. They would have been victorious as well if they had been sent. And so Maharaj extremely disliked these words because Muktanand Swami was like a mother to satsang. And so this jealousy darkened the atmosphere of joy and celebration. And this is why Maharaj was extremely melancholy and upset. And this is why he did not want to stay in the satsang. He became upset. As the days went on, he started fasting, avoiding assemblies, remaining very secluded. And after persistent pleas, Maharaj said that he would actually just dwell in the forest because of these people that don't harbor any single respect towards one another, that don't have any love and affection, have any respect towards one another. Even animals may possess some greater symbolic understanding. So that is why Maharaj is actually upset. So entire chapter of victory of Muktanand Swami starts from Gopalan Swami spreading satsang in Sarasvani village. We have Divan Babaji Apaji, we have Vikal Rao Babaji, right, opposing satsang. We have Tuljabai passing away. We also have Babaji Divan passing away. We have Vikram Rao, right, Divan and trying to kill Gopalan Swami, but Gopalan Swami is able to captivate the officers as well as the Brahmin himself, and is able to convert them to being satsang. He's also able to persuade King Saijio Gaikwad into becoming a devotee as well. And so he then prompts this entire scholarly debate of Vedanta Acharya, which then Maharaj says that instead of having and Gopalan Swami, let's have Muktanand Swami go. And so Muktanand Swami is able to defeat Vedanta Acharya in a single in before even the debate started. And so he preserved the pride of satsang. And so Maharaj was immensely pleased with him. All the other scholars asked him questions, and Maharaj actually was immensely pleased. But then Nirvikapalan Swami and Haryana are envious, and then that is why Maharaj is upset. We'll go through troubles in Anand. Maharaj arrives at Vihilal at the invitation of Jai Singh Bhai. And when Maharaj distributes mangoes to the gathered saints and devotees, the mangoes in the basket actually never diminish. And why was this? It was because of Vakadva's intense devotion. When there was a cart driver that offered his mangoes to Maharaj, the same miracle occurred. The cart remained full even after feeding all of the devotees. This was due to the cartman's selfless devotion. Maharaj then explains the glory of a saint. Then he explains that he asks, can one attain liberation through the meditation on Muktanand Swami? Then people say that Nityanand Swami says that liberation can be attained through saints who faithfully follow divine commands. Then Maharaj finally goes and says that all Brahmins are actually Vaishnavas. When Brahmins challenge Maharaj while marking followers for Vaishnav tilaks and diverting the Brahmins from their dharma, Maharaj makes the argument that Lord Shiv Bhagwan was actually a great Vaishnava himself who meditates upon Lord Vishnu. And he cites many of these different sages as well as many of these different scriptures as well. In Ruparam Thakur's place, he forgets to add sugar to the curry. And then when Maharaj asks all of these other different sadhus on how it tasted, they actually were sarcastic, they were nice about it, but only when Ruparam Thakur noticed that the curry was in there, he took a vow. Only when he noticed, he took a vow to not consume sugar again for the rest of his life. Narbiram, the way house happened, a similar incident happened there, where there were ladus. He was feasting these Brahmins that are gathered there, and all of a sudden the ladus actually run out, and so he was immensely worried. He was immensely worried that what will look of him if food actually runs out. And so Maharaj points to the wooden beams of the room and declares that the entire room was actually filled with ladus. Then goes to the house of Vakatapaki, and Maharaj greets him, and they have a great divine interaction. Devotees from Anand arrive and come, and when they want him to visit their village, Maharaj is hesitant, but he agrees to visit Anand after the devotees persisted, and he made sure to assemble his Kshatriya devotees, because this may not be such a pleasant ride, because there might be opposition. There probably will be opposition. In the past, they have been beaten, and they had borne it with forgiveness, and this approach must continue. Sword of forgiveness. And so on the way to Anand, the group stopped at a pond for Maharaj to bathe. And so even the horses were neighing restlessly, and so everyone knew in the air that something was wrong. And so Anand opposition was meant to occur. And even Maharaj acknowledged this. Muktanand Swami knew about the potential trouble ahead. He predicted that evening rituals might be incomplete, and they might have to leave hastily in disgrace. When they eventually learn of Swaminathan's arrival, the administrators of the Vallabh temple, they become fearful that people might deviate from their fold. And so the young men started to become restless, and crowds gathered at the marketplace, throwing stones, dust, mud, cow dung, sticks, sharp weapons, ready for confrontation. And when Maharaj's procession did come, there were There were stones thrown at Maharaj. There were cow dung thrown, sticks thrown, all these different devices and weapons thrown in the direction of Maharaj's procession of Maharaj's sadhus. And so when stone struck Maharaj, Bhaguji was instantly furious. And so when Joban Pagi was about to draw his arrows ready for bloodshed, Maharaj immediately retreated them. And he said that whoever does this would commit treachery. And so in this way, Maharaj was able to promote the sword of forgiveness. Bhagaji thundered a curse that those behind the sin would face annihilation with no lineage remaining, no son to light funeral pyres, no daughter to weep at graves. After this incident, Brahman Swami humorously declared the conquest, noting how grandly they were actually showered with dust. But then Maharaj explains that if they did not respond with non-violence, things would have gone extremely poorly, and it would have sparked a new era of violence that would not have been great. And so this sword of forgiveness was actually the key in maintaining peace. And so we'll go over a high-level summary of this. So troubles in Anand, talk about Vakadba, goes to the place of Jaisangbai. Vakadba austerities bear fruit in that when Maharaj distributed the mangoes, they did not disappear. Maharaj then tells the assembly about the supreme nature of all of these different saints. And even these saints have the power to do liberation. The Brahmachari also got significant praise from Maharaj. Then Maharaj poses a question that can one attain liberation through the meditation on Muktanand Swami alone? And so only Nityanand Swami said that yes, that is possible. When some other sadhu says no, that is considered spiritual adultery. Maharaj then marks followers with Vaishnav tilaks, and when Brahmins question him about diverting these people from their dharma, Maharaj then argues that Lord Shiva, whom Brahmins worship as their chosen devotee, is a great Vaishnav himself who meditates upon Lord Shiva. And so at Ruparam Thakur's place, he forgot to add sugar to the curry, and he took a vow to never consume sugar again. At Narviram Dave's feast, when Maharaj arrived, there were no ladus anywhere, and so he asked him to take a lamp, and in the wooden beams of the roof it was filled with ladus, and goes to the house of Vakatapaki and blesses them greatly. Devotees from Anand come and request Maharaj to come to his village, but he makes sure that he has assembled his Shaktigar devotees, because this is not a trivial trip. It's not a trivial trip. There will be hardships that will occur. When they stop on the way to Anand, Muktanand Swami makes this proclamation that there will be obstacles. Barney has an intuitive perception. There's a whirlwind of obstacles. When they arrive there, the administrators of the temple, as well as young men and crowds, they start throwing things at Maharaj's group. Then Babuji curses the aggressors when he notices Maharaj being struck by stones. After the incident, Brahman Swami humorously declares that they were actually showered with dust, buttermilk, dung, and curses. But Maharaj says that absolving the aggressors was true valor beyond swords, because fighting would have bred hostility and potentially have led to even more problems, such as government imprisonment. And even after this incident, many of the devotees who actually did throw things at Maharaj eventually became satsangis and eventually were devoted to satsang. So that is 1/3 main incident, 3 main chapters. We'll go over future ones in the next few videos.